Throughout history, certain names have been whispered in terror. One of them is Molech, a god to some, a demon to others. But no matter the title, one thing remains the same. Molech demands sacrifice, and throughout the ages, people have answered his call.
Oh, an answer they have. Kingdoms have fallen, empires have risen, all with the scent of burning offerings in the air. But the real question is, has Molech ever truly left? Or does he still demand his due in ways most people don't even realize?
Molech, also called Molech or Melech, is an ancient god of fire, sacrifice, and power. His name comes from the Hebrew word Melech, meaning king, but with vowels from Bosheth, meaning shame, a name whispered in fear, a name tied to the darkest rituals.
Molech was often depicted as a giant bull-headed idol, cast in bronze, seated on a throne. His hands made of metal were outstretched. Beneath him, a furnace burned day and night, consuming all that was placed within.
In times of crisis, drought, famine, or war, Molech's priests promised salvation. They thought by offering their most precious gift, their own child, they would gain Molech's favor, power, victory, prosperity, at a terrible price.
Even the mighty city of Carthage is said to have burned thousands of infants to appease their god. Some believe it was not just fear, but devotion, a twisted faith that bounded parents to the flames.
Molech is first mentioned in the Old Testament as a deity of the Canaanites, specifically tied to child sacrifice. The most famous site of his worship, the Valley of Hinnom, later known as Gehenna, a place synonymous with hell itself.
Gehenna wasn't just a metaphor, it was a literal dumping ground for fire and death. Bodies burned there. The screams of the sacrifice echoed through the valley. And guess what? Kings of Israel took part in this horror. In Leviticus chapter 18, verse 21, "And thou shalt not let any of thy speed pass through the fire to Molech. Neither shalt thou profane the name of thy God. I am the Lord."
Indeed, Leviticus warns, do not give any of your children to be sacrificed to Molech. And yet, King Ahaz and King Manasseh both defied that law, offering their own sons in the fire.
Classic case of do not enter signs being ignored. And what did they get in return? Power? Protection? Or just the sick satisfaction of obeying something ancient and dark?
King Solomon, the wisest ruler in Israel's history, was once devoted to Yahweh, but in his old age, something changed.
The Bible tells us that Solomon's many foreign wives turned his heart towards other gods, and among them was Molech, the abomination of the Ammonites.
Molech was no ordinary deity. He was worshipped through fire and sacrifice, rituals that involved the unthinkable, the offering of children. And Solomon, the king chosen by God, built high places for these dark gods right outside of Jerusalem.
This was more than political strategy. It was spiritual corruption. By embracing Molech, Solomon invited the occult into Israel, a decision that would fracture his kingdom forever.
Fast forward to today, and you'll find that Molech's imagery never really disappeared. Some believe that the worship of this entity continued in secret, passed down through mystery schools and occult societies.
You mean like the Bohemian Grove? That little get-together of the world's elite, where they gather under a massive owl statue and perform what they call the cremation of care ceremony?
Exactly. Some say the owl represents wisdom, a symbol of Minerva. Others They believe it's just a modern disguise for Molech, the ancient god of fire and sacrifice. And if you think that's a stretch, ask yourself, why are world leaders taking part in mock sacrifices under an idol that eerily resembles ancient depictions of Molech?
Mock sacrifices, huh? History tells us that mock rituals have a funny way of becoming real over time.
Some researchers argue that Molech's influence continues under different names. Think of modern human trafficking, ritual abuse cases, and even the symbolism we use in Hollywood and politics.
Yeah, have you noticed how often fire, horns, and sacrificial themes show up in music videos, fashions, even massive public ceremonies? Maybe it's just aesthetics. Or maybe something darker is at play.
Then there's the financial world. Some conspiracy theories suggest that certain banking institutions and political movements use Molech symbolism as a sign of allegiance hidden in plain sight.
You know what they say? The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. But what if, instead of hiding, Molech is just rebranded?
So that begs the question, was Molech ever truly a being? Or was he always just an idea, a symbol of sacrifice for gain?
Come on now. You and I both know that names have power. You don't get centuries of blood, fire, devotion without something responding, something even feeding.
Then if he still exists, where do we see him today?
Everywhere. Think about it. Government sends people to die for profit. Corporations exploit the innocent for wealth. And the powerful trade human lives for influence. The sacrifice continues. They just change their mask.
And if that's true, then Molech isn't just a demon. He's a cycle, a pattern humanity keeps repeating.
Exactly. And as long as people believe the ends justify the means, Molech wins. I say, if you know where to look, you'll see his fingerprints everywhere. From the ashes of Gehenna to the stages of modern entertainment. From secret gatherings of the elite to the corridors of power, Molech hunger never fades. It just changes shape.
What do you think? Is Molech just an ancient relic of a dark past, or is he still pulling the strings of the powerful? Let us know in the comments below.
Until next time, remember, the divine and damned are never far apart.